Hi there. Imagine in AWS you have a web server as well as a database server running. Now, likewise, there would be resources of other AWS customers as well. Now, in this case, you want your web server to be connecting to your database server flawlessly, right? Without any issues. On the other hand, you do not want resources of other customers to connect to your database server. The question is, how do we achieve this? We know that AWS is a shared infrastructure. Maybe all the virtual machines are created in the same data center. Maybe they are created in the same physical server. So how do we isolate our database server such that it does not receive traffic from other unwanted resources? Now, to achieve that, what you can do is you can create your own boundary, your own fence within AWS. Alright? Now, resources within your boundary can easily connect to each other. On the other hand, resources external to your boundary cannot just connect to your database. This boundary, this fence that you have created, will provide a level of isolation, will disallow the traffic to move into your or to reach to your web server. This boundary that you can create in AWS is called as VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Now, hi there, my name is Saiful Ghani Mandlik, and today we would be talking about VPC. Now, VPC, whether you are a developer, a QA, a manager, or a decision maker, if you plan to use AWS in any capacity, then a thorough knowledge of VPC is a must. Almost all the other AWS services internally uses VPC to achieve security. Example, when you create virtual machines using EC2 service, every virtual machine is created within a VPC. When you create database servers using an RDS service, your database servers are also created within a VPC. It's so important that most of the AWS certification examinations ask 20 to 25% questions on VPC. Having a good knowledge of VPC, you can make with a good knowledge of VPC, you can make sure that your resources in cloud as well as your applications are secured without changing a single line of your application code. So in today's video, we'll dig a bit more into what is VPC. We'll actually figure out what VPC is. So let's move on. All right. So just a recap, what did we say? What is a VPC? A virtual boundary that you can create within AWS. And then within this boundary, you can create your resources, your virtual machines. Now, a VPC basically has three important properties. First, a VPC will always have a name. You need to provide the name. So maybe if you're going to put an HR related resources, HR application related resource, you call it VPC HR, VPC e-commerce, VPC IT sales application, and so on. The next property of a VPC is a region. Whenever you create a VPC should always be created in a region. Now notice here I'm saying region, not an availability zone. So region means a VPC spans across multiple availability zones in the same region, which again means that you can now create resources, your virtual machines, in different availability zones, but all in the same region as that of VPC. The third important property of a VPC is you need to provide, while creating a VPC, you need to provide a list of IP addresses. Now, why a list of IP addresses? We said that we would be creating virtual machines in our VPC. Every virtual machine that you create in AWS has to have a private IP. Now, what should be this private IP? Should it start from 10.0.0 or should it start from 192.168? Who decide that? What should this be? It's your resource, you will decide it. So at the time of creation of VPC, you specify a list of IP addresses so that later when you create a virtual machine within the VPC, AWS will pick up one of the IP addresses from the list that you have provided. One IP address will be picked up and will be assigned to your virtual machine. So likewise, if you plan to create multiple virtual machines in your VPC, make sure that you specify multiple IP addresses. Now, the question is, how do you specify multiple IP addresses? Let's say, excuse me. Sorry about that. All right. So let's say you plan to create maybe 255 virtual machines in your VPC, and basically you want like to give it IP address starting from 10.0.0.0, 10.0.0.1, 10.0.0.2, and so on till 10.0.0.255. The question is, how do you specify or provide this list of 255 IP addresses? One way is you type on 255 IP addresses, which is pretty cumbersome, pretty inelegant. The other way of specifying a list of IP address is by something called as a CIDR notation, and we'll talk about it in just a moment. So the whole idea here is to have a shortcut way of specifying a list of IP addresses. How do we do that? So if you notice these IP addresses carefully, you'll realize that in all these IP addresses, the starting three numbers are fixed. All these 255 IP addresses are starting from 10.0.0, right? And only the last number is varying, 0.0, 0.1, 0.2. We know that each IP address is made up of 32 bits. So which means the first three numbers are fixed, which means what can we say? The first 24 bits of these 255 IP addresses are same, right? Only your last 8 bits are varying, which results in 0.0, 1, 2, 3, 4 values. So if we know this fact, is there a shorter way of representing this 255 IP addresses? In networking terms, yes, there is. This list of 255 IP addresses can be represented in one single line. You can specify it saying that my list of IP addresses is 10.0.0.0/24. Now, this 24 after slash means here you are saying out of this 32 bits from the left hand side, my 24 bits are fixed. Fixed means it will not change. And only my last 8 bits can change. So obviously with this, as we just now saw, how many IP addresses can we have? We can have a range of 255 IP addresses. So you can just specify a CIDR notation like this while creating a VPC, and with this the VPC will have 255 valid IP addresses, from which one by one each will be assigned to your virtual machine that you would later create. Now, this one-liner representation of a list of IP addresses is called as CIDR notation. It stands for classless interdomain routing. Now, don't get freaked out by the fancy terminology. All it means is a one-liner representation of a list of IP addresses. Now, going one step further, Imagine if you want to create a VPC with more than 255 IP addresses. How do we do that? Again, the same principle applies. You can specify a CIDR, saying that 10.0.0.0/16. Now here you are saying out of the 32 bits, from the left hand side only 16 bits are fixed. That means the last 16 bits can vary. Now with this one-liner of representation, what are a valid range of IP addresses? Those are 10.0.0.0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.23 till 0.255, and also 1.0, 1.1, 1.2 till 1.255, 2.0, 2.1, 2.2 till 2.255, and so on till 10.0.255.255. So with just one liner representation, you can now create a VPC which can have 65,535 private IP addresses, from which one it can use and assign it to your virtual machines. So moving back to our diagram. Alright, so we were saying that we have a VPC bare minimum requires these two properties: name, first is name, second is region, third is private IPs. In fact, this third property is not called private IPs. This third property is called the CIDR, and you need to specify the CIDR value through which the VPC will come to know the list of your private IPs. So as simple as that. All you have to do is specify these three values and go ahead and create a VPC. So in fact, let's go ahead and do that. Let's check out how easy it is to create a VPC in AWS. So I'm over here. I have already logged into the management console. And in the management console, if you scroll down, we have something called as networking and content delivery. Now in networking and content delivery, the first option, the first link that we have is VPC. Click on it. You would be presented with something called as a VPC dashboard. And in this dashboard, you would see the different components, VPC related components for your account in Singapore region. Now, ignore the other stuff. We'll talk about the other components, NAT gateways, subnets, route tables later. Today, we are discussing about VPC. Likewise, on the left hand side, we have something called as navigation pane, and the first option in your navigation pane is your VPCs. Now, when I click on it, it will show the VPCs that are currently present for my account in Singapore region over here. So for now, I will just hide the navigation pane so that we have more space to visualize. All right. So notice that I have something called as a VPC default for my account in Singapore region. Likewise, even when you log in, you will have a default VPC for your account in Singapore region or any other region. Basically, what AWS does is for every account, for every AWS account, AWS creates a pre-created VPC in each and every region. All right. Now, this VPC is what we call it as a default VPC. And basically, it's for those customers who don't have much knowledge of VPC, who do not know how to create a VPC. So rather than going through the grassroots, all the steps of creating a VPC, what they can do is that they can just go ahead, start using the pre-created default VPC to create other resources like virtual machines. Now, we are moving a step further. We want to know what is a VPC. So we'll not use the default VPC. We'll go ahead and create a new VPC. Keep in mind this default VPC. Default VPC for my account in Singapore region would be different than the default VPC that you will have for your account in Singapore region, right? Two different VPCs. Likewise, I will also have a default VPC in some other region, let's say Mumbai region. My default VPC in Mumbai region is different than my default VPC in Singapore region. I hope we all understand that. Alright. With that said, let's move ahead and see how easy it is to create a VPC. All we need to do is click on this button on the left hand side saying create VPC. Now the moment you do that, remember what did I said? Three things. The first is you need to specify a name. So I will say VPC HR. Maybe in this VPC I'm going to put all the resources of my HR application. The second property we said you need to specify a region. So here I have already logged in, and this list box I have selected Singapore region. So that means my VPC would be created in Singapore region. Moving on, the third property that we already discussed, which is the CIDR block. One liner that will give a range, a collection of private IP addresses which would then be used to assign your virtual machines. So we'll give a CIDR block of 10.0.0.0/16. Now it is up to you. If you are wondering how do you decide, it is up to you whether you want your private IPs to start from 10.0.0 or 192.168 or 172.31, right? There are three IP address ranges which are set aside for private IPs, and it is up to you whether you want to create a VPC with 10 private IPs or 100 private IPs. Accordingly, you need to specify the Cidr block. Moving on, when you create a virtual machine, an IPv4 private IP is a mandatory IP that should be there, or that should be there for every virtual machine. Now, along with that, your VMs can also have an IPv6 IP address. However, that is optional, right? Now, if you want IPv6 IP address also assigned to your virtual machine, you have two options. One is maybe you already have you already own a collection of IPv6 addresses, so you can specify that collection of IPv6 addresses that you own, or you can ask AWS to give you a list of IPv6 addresses. For our demonstration purpose, we'll keep it simple. We'll say my VMs would just have IPv4. Good enough for us. Keep in mind, if you opt for both IPv6 as well as IPv4, you can send traffic or connect to your virtual machines using either an IPv6 address or an IPv4 address. All right, moving on. In the process of creation of VPC, next is it asks for tenancy, and in tenancy we have two options. One is default, other is dedicated. Now, if you create a VPC with tenancy as dedicated, that means then in that VPC you can only add virtual machines whose tenancy is also dedicated. So just a step back, when you create virtual machines using EC2 service in AWS, those virtual machines, those EC2 instances also have a tenancy, and basically you can create a EC2 instance with shared tenancy or with dedicated tenancy. We will cover the tenancy aspect of VPC EC2 instance later in a different video, right? Regardless, so keep this in mind. You can create a virtual machine which will have its own tenancy. Either you can create a shared tenancy virtual machine or a dedicated tenancy virtual machine. Now, if you create a VPC, so we are talking about tenancy of VPC and tenancy of virtual machines. If you create a VPC whose tenancy is dedicated, that means in those VPC, you can only add EC2 instances whose tenancy is also dedicated. Whereas if you create a VPC whose tenancy is default, that means in such VPC, you can add virtual machines with mixed tenancy, shared tenancy as well as dedicated tenancy. Having done that, you need to click over here create, and that's it. A VPC ID, a unique ID is given to your VPC, and your VPC is successfully created in that particular region. All right, so that's, just bear with me for a second. All right, so I hope you found this video informational. We learned about how to create a VPC. Now in next video we will talk about further how in VPC we would create a virtual machine, and then how would we actually connect to that virtual machine. In that process we will cover other important concepts such as subnet, and in later videos we'll cover further more concepts of how do we specify, how do we give internet access to our virtual machines using internet gateways and NAT gateways. So stay tuned, there are more videos to follow. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you get notified as and when new videos are released. I hope you liked the video. Do let me know your feedback. Stay safe and have a great day. Bye bye.